never ceases to amaze me how when people who are actually in the trenches, who are actually in the space, who are fans of these comics, who retailers who run these stores, when they speak out about how bad this industry is, and trust me, it's really, really bad. How these so-called comic pros and them or people who work in the industry are so happy to pile on them because they don't want to admit that they are the ones destroying the industry. Recently, Glen O'Leary, who has the comic book YouTube channel Comic Palace Reborn, he also owns Haver Hill Comic Stores, is in Massachusetts, I believe it is. He had he was doing one of his YouTube videos, and he spoke about the absolute crappy state of the industry and he said a lot of things in there that a lot of people may have a problem with, but it's the actual God's honest truth. And I'm going to go through some of that. I'm going to see exactly what he has said, exactly why he said it, and why some of these people are so happy to jump on him because they don't want to admit they're the problem. Let's get into this here. Starting from Bounding into Comics. Comic book pros mock, deny complaints from veteran shop owner regarding abysmal state of the market. His business is dying because he refuses to change with the times. Yeah, because changing with the times, killing all your entire business, but no, everybody's supposed to do that. So let's get to it. Right, this latest round of discourse was first kicked off on December 1st, courtesy of the 42nd and latest episode of the Comic Palace Reborn, a slice of life YouTube series run by the owner of the eponymous Haver Hill MA retail store, Glen O'Leary, which documents the day-to-day interactions he experiences with customers in the shop. Now, this is Glen O'Leary here. And I'm going to play you the clip of what he said in his YouTube video so you'll understand what it is he has to say. And then we'll go through it and I'll give my thoughts on it. Okay, so here's the clip.
Watering it down. I don't know if it's watered down or it's... They just kind of repeat the same stories in a different show in a different way.
Oh, okay.
I get a lot of surprises from the indies. I mean, some of them, like DC, Detective, I read that forever. Green Arrow came back, thank you God. My favorite, since I was a little baby, That's what started it all. Reading the Robin Hood book, and Green Arrow came up and said, oh wow, just for me. It was perfect. I don't know what else to tell you, kid.
Yeah, the Hood was a fantastic character. And then they just made him idiotic after that, and they ruined a great character. The Hood comes out of nowhere, and believe it or not, that idiot Brian K. Vaughan, I believe, came up with the guy from Saga, the guy that can't get a book out on time, right? He used to be a brilliant writer and a worker, but now he's just a lazy chump. So they get the Hood going. He's a main part of the Marvel universe, main part of the villains. That storyline ends. He just kind of disappears, loses parts. Then he goes after the Infinity Gauntlet gems, gets a couple gems. He's just an idiotic clown, and then he disappears. And he shows up once in a while. So I'm hoping they do him well in this book.
Very enjoyable, man. Very, very good book.
Now they just make idiotic characters most of the time. They finally got somebody good, and then they stop using them. I don't know why. Change of the guard, maybe, or change. Well, then again, there's probably different change of writers where people don't. The writers nowadays, they don't care about the characters of what the character is anymore. Most of these new writers don't have the love of comics like these older writers had, and all they care about is, how can I put myself in the book? No, we don't care what you would do if you were Iron Man. We don't care who you are. You're writing Tony Stark. You're not writing yourself in a book. If that's the case, write your own comic with you in it. No one will read it because nobody cares. People are growing up loving Peter Parker, loving Miles Morales, loving all these Captain America. We don't need you to put your input in it. Just write Steve Rogers. Don't write Steve Rogers. What would Steve Rogers be if I was Steve Rogers? That's not how it works. But that's again how most of these new people write nowadays. That's why most of the stuff is shit. Because we don't care what you would do, because we don't care about your life whatsoever. Just write a book, get paid for what you do, get paid for what you're supposed to be doing, and make it a good story. We don't care. We don't need your opinion.
Okay, so you saw what it is he had to say there. You heard it, everything he had to say. So let's get into this exactly what it is. It goes down. Right. So the guy who was Mike said I don't know if it's watered down or if it's just kind of repeating the same stories in a different show in a different way. Said Mike. I get a lot of surprises from the indies. Yeah, and okay, Mike is quite right, because what happens with these comics, a lot of these stories just keep repeating themselves, repeating themselves. But there is nothing new in the way that it will happen. There's nothing to interest you. It just, you know, okay, this is going to run along like that, and you just don't have any interest in it. And they're showing a picture of Chasm here, Ben Reilly and all this. I mean, Spider-Man's clone saga just continues to drag on without stopping. Now everybody's a Spider-Person. Nobody cares. Nobody cares anymore. But they just keep doing this nonsense. In turn, the show then cuts to find O'Leary offering Mike even further examples of the industry's wanton mistreatment of the very properties they've been tasked with shepherding, beginning with his declaration that Marvel villain the Hood was a fantastic character, and then they just made him idiotic and they ruined a great character. Okay, so I don't know much about the Hood. I've heard about him, but I don't know much about the Hood. So I'm gonna take his thoughts on this and just say, okay, he's quite right, because he literally said that, the Hood was a good character, but they've just destroyed him. And considering the fact that they've done it with pretty much every other character Marvel, the same service that they have, I'm willing to believe it. He goes on. The Hood comes out of nowhere. Believe it or not, that idiot Brian K. Vaughan, I believe, came up with him. That guy from Saga, the guy that can't get a book out on time, right? He used to be a brilliant writer and a worker, but now he's just a lazy chump. Well, the lazy chump thing kind of reminds me of Dan Slott, because he can't put out books on time, spends all his time on Twitter attacking people and all kind of madness, and he even did an actual thing with Marvelous and show that, he's lazy and can't put out the book on time. But still there, so what am I gonna say? So he goes on about the Hood and talks about what it is going to happen and how the Hood is going to be in the Spirit of Vengeance in Ghost Rider. He says that, he hopes that they do him well. Okay, let's get to what it is he had to say. Right. This is what he got to here, and right, he just say, no publishers just make idiotic characters most of the time. They finally got somebody good, and then they stopped using them. I don't know why. Change of the guard, maybe. Then again, maybe a different change of writers. Alright, he didn't go to the comic book industry, and this is what he had to say, and I completely agree. Writers nowadays, they don't care about who or what the character is anymore. Yep. Most of these new writers don't have a love of comics like these old writers had. All they care about is, how do I put myself in the book? And that is very true. I have said this many a time, others have said it before. These so-called writers nowadays don't care about the books that they're writing. They don't. They're just using these books as self-inserts to put themselves into it. That's what they're doing. I mean, even look at this. They have this picture here of this is from I Am Not Starfire. I think it's Mariko Tamaki who did this book. This is Starfire. This is supposed to be her daughter. This girl looks exactly like the writer. That is what it is. This is a basic self-insert. One of the worst books ever written. All she wanted to do was just be an anarchist and go to France and eat cake. She doesn't want to try to work out to help her friends. Nothing. Of course, she must be a lesbian, and she's fat and overweight. And I have no problem with anybody. I don't dogging on anybody's weight or anything like that. But she doesn't even try to better herself with that when she even has the opportunity to. But this is what they write, and she keeps acting like, she's in the right for being a horrible person. This is what you're writing, acting like people are supposed to love this. Right, he then goes on. No, we don't care what you do. If you were Iron Man, we don't care who you are. You're writing Tony Stark. You're not writing yourself in a book. If that's the case, write your own comic with you in it. No one will read it because nobody cares. Very true. People are growing up loving Peter Parker, loving Miles Morales, loving Captain America. We don't need you to put your input in it. Just write Steve Rogers. Don't write what would Steve Rogers be if I was Steve Rogers. That's not how it works. But that's again how most of these new people write nowadays. That's why most of this stuff is shit. Because readers don't care about whatever writer would do, because we don't care about your life whatsoever. Just write a book, get paid for what you do, get paid for what you're supposed to be doing, make it a good story. We don't need your opinions, and this is 100% true. All these books that are being put out now by these so-called activists who calling themselves writers, it's just them writing themselves into the book and then acting like, people are supposed to care about this. Nobody gives a crap about what you're writing about in your life. And this is a harsh thing to say, but it needs to be said. Nobody cares about you. Simple as that. That doesn't mean people hate you. That doesn't mean people despise you. That people just don't care. People have their own lives that they need to see about. That is it. You go to comic books, you go to movies, you go to things for escapism. You want to lose yourself in the story. Nobody cares about you telling what you would do if you were that person. No. Recently, they had Batman Gotham War, which I reviewed. God awful crap that just destroyed Batman's life. The entire thing was absolute and utter horse shit. You had Catwoman taking a bunch of henchmen and training them to be better thieves, and her whole motivation was that, what? We're just going to rob rich people because they deserve to get robbed for being rich. And you had members of the Bat family agreeing with this, and they actually sided with Catwoman, going against Batman, who was the only person with any kind of common sense who wanted to stop this. You actually had Dick Grayson beating Batman to a bloody mess, screaming, "I'm not going to let you stop the peace that Catwoman has created." You're supporting crime. Dick Grayson's parents were murdered because of crime. They were circus performers, and because somebody was extorting the circus and the people that didn't want to pay, they loosened the bolts. His parents fell to their death. Crime killed his parents, and you're actually telling me Dick Grayson is going to be in there supporting crime? This is Tini Howard writing this shit, and you just allowing her to do that. How is that anything at all? Like how any of these characters would ever be. None of them would ever sign with that. Recently, I even had to review the Hawk Girl, I think it's 3 or 4, whatever the god awful issue was. You understand me? You know what that book boiled down to? 4 lesbians who wanted a gang rape Supergirl. That is it. Because no, you know why? Right? The writer is trans and gay, whatever you like. So you must write every book exactly the way how you would write it. Because all you think about from sun up to sundown is scissoring with every shitting body whoever come along. You understand me? That is what your books must always be about. It's not about it. You're preaching to everybody about something else. Nobody wants these things, and people don't care about your lives. People want to read these stories from people or these characters that they know. You are not very interesting. But no, this is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. So when he put this out, it didn't have, when he put out this video, it didn't have much attention until somebody take it and put it on Twitter. And then that's when all the nonsense started. Understand me? A bunch of these so-called comic book pros decided to jump on him. Right? This former Venom writer and now deleted tweet sarcastically writing, Don't you guys hate how when you go into a hardware store, how the guy behind the counter always tells you how much hammers suck? So no, because he's running a comic book shop and it's just garbage. You see, he's been doing this for 30 years. He's not just a comic book. He's not just a retailer selling comic books. He's also a fan. If it's garbage, it's garbage. He's not. Why should he lie? But no, this is what you're doing. And he goes on. This next one, Jamal Yassim Eigel. He's gonna be real shocked about how all comics have been written and how writing in general work. His business is dying because he refuses to change with the times. Now, somebody messaged me about a video that I put out about how this other retailer was saying that in 2 years the industry is going to be dead if they don't stop all this nonsense. Person messaged me and said that comic books have always been in trouble, and this have nothing to do with all the gayness and the wokeness, all that they keep pushing into these comic books. It's because because now it have Netflix and video games, and people are more interested in that than in reading comic books. If that is the case, why is it that manga and anime are doing phenomenally better than they ever have? Why? Because nobody wants to read good material anymore? No. I mean, the last volume of Demon Slayer outsold every North American comic book for months. I think it was like for the whole year, if I'm not mistaken. It was so popular they had to go back and literally reprint it like twice because the actual demand for it was so amazing. Really, the last time anybody gave a flying crap about actually wanting more of these god-awful comics. When? Nobody wants to read this nonsense. I mean, if you take a manga and anime, like let's say one of the most popular in the world, Naruto. I've read the manga, I've watched the anime. You understand me? We had Naruto Shippuden, now we've gone into Boruto, and we have Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, all kind of stuff. That's what's going on. But if you look at just Naruto alone, you understand me? You couldn't imagine if somebody said, you know what they're going to do with Naruto is that the story of Naruto is going to be about how Naruto is a transgender woman coming to terms with his sexuality and the changes and his budding love for Sasuke and how society could have... Nobody would have given that shit a second look. Nobody. Because what it is people want to read about is about ninjas, cool jutsu, and battles. That is what people want to read about. That is the essence of what people are looking to read about. You're not getting that anymore. But, again, as I say, some of the other comic book process decided to jump in. So let's take a look at what someone had to say. Gail Simone decided, tweeted, who seems to play it off as just good fun. She said, this gentleman has had his store 30 years. My hat is off to him, and I have watched his videos, and they're good fun. Yeah. Then he talked about Jamal Eigel, and then he says, he's going to be real shocked about how all comics have been written and how writing in general works. His business is dying because he refuses to change with the times. Yet you wonder why your sales are in the toilet. He then continued, there's a simple rule in sales. Showing contempt for the product shows contempt for the customer. Don't do it. Sell everything like you love it. If that is the case, why are you doing the exact opposite? Explain that to me. Saying if you're showing contempt for the product, shows contempt for the customer. But that's what you're doing. You're writing these books, these so-called comic books are writing these books with so much hatred towards these characters. Clearly they don't like by your own words, they don't like the customers either. They have been talking about wanting to destroy Batman because why Batman is rich and white. That's the entire reason wanting to do it, children. And they're showing contempt for the fans who like Batman by doing this. Then Igel continued, seriously, he reminds me of a few of the old guard guys who used to run shops here in New York City. from stores that smelled like stale cigarettes, mold, and urine, unclean, sloppily, and stuck. This is how you are attacking this man, because no, it's perfectly fine for you that all he talked about is that is that them making some shitty comic books. No, attack him like this. But he said the same people will turn around now if he decided to clap back at you. The same people will turn around and accuse him of being all kinds of things. He goes on. Those guys either went out of business, died, or both. There used to be a shop called Comic Plus in Park Slope. The owner was a miserable old man. His incontinent mother spent every day smoking cigarettes in the store, smelling like urine. He had 2 employees in the years I went there and reluctantly carried in the books. The place hadn't been cleaned since they were forced to downsize around 1997 and finally closed in the early 2000s. You ever think maybe you just went in the wrong store? Jamie Palmotti then offered his 2 cents in a now deleted tweet. He says, "It is something I tell newer writers all the time. Read all the history of the character and understand their motivations and why the audience fell in love with them. Simple as that. It will help you understand who they are. So if you change everything about them, it's in line with who they are." Right. Palmotti had deleted that post because of the bad energy it was bringing. Amazing how some people can't have a civil conversation anymore. I enjoy hearing both ends of an argument, but it has to stay polite. Yes, the minute you speak out and say, listen, this is not good, they will attack you like you are somehow the devil. That's it. You are somehow the devil. They will attack you. This is what they do. This is their behavior, and they're perfectly happy to keep doing it. Right. Mark Miller comes to the defense and said that the rest of this vid had been everywhere in the past 24 hours, and rightly so. The rest of us are armchair generals declaring news from the front. Comic retailers are in the trenches and seeing exactly what's going on. He's clearly passionate about the direct market and upset what's being done to it. Exactly. That is it. But then, of course, a fan also mocked the owner. Okay, but does he have to look like a live version of the comic book guy from The Simpsons? Now, apparently, Glen O'Leary doesn't care about any of that. He's comfortable with his weight or something like that. But no, this is what you have to do. You have to go and attack the man while hiding behind a screen. So then Miller shot back. That's unfair. It's snobby to look down on someone because they don't dress and look as cool as you want. This guy has been working hard on behalf of publishers and creators for 30 years and deserves to have his opinion listened to. This is all I am saying. We are fans. We're not just out here shouting and I'm talking about how bad it is because we feel like it or because we wanted to just garner likes and views or getting. No. The whole reason I started my channel is because I am a fan of these things and I am watching it dying, and it hurts me to see that. And the same way it hurts him, and I have a right to say something. That is my given right. And if you don't agree, okay, fine. I'm perfectly happy with you not agreeing with me. That's perfectly fine. But listen to why I'm saying it. Look at it. Take off the woke-colored glasses and take a look at what's happening to this industry. It's not just comics. It's movies. It's TV show. These people who you run down and support, who bandwagon you jump on without checking to see who's driving. These people want to destroy this industry. I was speaking with somebody last year, or the same thing, comment on a video and they comment that the other. And I said to the person, at the rate this is going, this industry is going to be destroyed. Is that what you want? And you know what the answer I got was, so what wrong with that? These are the same people that you are out there aligning yourself. But these people don't care. They want this industry to be destroyed. They want everything to be destroyed because that is what will make them happy. They're sick individuals. This man is saying something like that is absolutely 100% true and you won't listen because you just decide, why must anybody say anything? No, we must all just sit there and consume. Well, I'm very sorry, you can do that. I am not going to do it. We know your thoughts on this in the comments. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, ring the notification bell, we'll find out if I upload a new video, and I shall see you all next time. Take care.